Listen, as a fellow bald, okay? Look, as my credentials here. Credentials confirmed. I am a fellow bald, okay? But I do not cover that up. I wear it proudly, loud and proud. I don't need to cover it with a beanie ass head for my whole life. A stinky beanie on my stinky head. No thanks. I don't understand the bald to beanie pipeline, personally. We're here, our scalps are clear. My scalp's not even clear, let's be real. That scalp is rough and pocked. But let's cover this story, because this doesn't need to be covered, but we're going to be covering it, okay? So, Tim Pool, and should have a content warning here. There's going to be, obviously, transphobia, including, misgendering, and I'll try to, navigate it as best as I can, but we're dealing with assholes here, so what can you expect, So Tim Pool puts out this tweet, and it's sharing a Post Millennial article. So we're getting high-class, top-tier journalism here in the Post Millennial. The Post Millennial headline says, trans-identified biological male wins women's cycling event in New York, towers over second, third place competitors on podium. And Poole says, the females who lost are happy. This is the way. Females need to learn to smile as they sit beneath males. Okay? So this comes up often where a trans person will win a sporting competition and then notice the heavy-handed language that they are towering over their competition. Whenever Ezra covered this, he would always talk about how trans women are smashing other women in the competition. It's just a way to sort of portray the trans woman as being this masculine stereotype of destroying everything, when they look just as womanly as the others there. The interesting thing is how podiums work, right? I don't think I'm saying anything controversial here. How podiums work is that first place is higher than second and third, right? So some of the height discrepancy that you see here is not them being the type of person who would tower over them because they're secretly not women and therefore are tall and big and all that shit. It's just they happen to be a little higher based on the podium. Look at the gap in the in the blocks. That is a huge thing. And I feel if I take the foot and raise her up a foot, they almost look identical height-wise. The towering is literally just the fact that they're standing on raised and lower platforms, okay? So already off to a bad start with this article, which is clearly just being bigoted. But I figured I would mock them here anyways for that. But let's read this post-millennial article and see what happens here. So it says, trans-identified biological male wins women's cycling event in New York, towers over second, third place competitors on podium. At the Randall's Island Crit number 3, transgender athlete Tiffany Thomas was seen at the top of the podium, while 2 women followed in second and third place. A biological male has won a women's cycling division in New York City. At the Randall's Island Crit number 3 over the weekend, transgender athlete Tiffany Thomas was seen at the top of the podium, while 2 women followed in second and third place. A crit race, or criterium, is lapped closed-circuit race that usually takes place in cities, according to bicycling.com. Great, I love, they're doing research at Post Millennial. They go into bicycling.com to learn about what's going on in the New York crit race. Number 3. Thomas is a member of LA Sweat, a cycling group for women. Thomas's biography on the team's website states, Tiffany is a scientist by day, athlete by night. Her favorite organ are the blood cells. You will never see anyone with a bigger smile than when she sees a beautiful electron microscopy picture of a red cell. She has never met a barbell, a bike, or a dog that she doesn't like. She is so incredibly excited to race and represent the LA Sweat team this year. She sounds terrifying. Aren't we instilled with terror right now? I'm just so horrified. According to Thomas's career results, the athlete has come in first place in 15 races. Immediately I read that sentence and I was like, that is some weird framing. So let's check this out, because it's like, I mean, that sounds big, right? 15 races? She won 15 races. She must be like smashing that competition, just destroying all the other competitors. And yes, in their career, they have 15 wins. Okay? But it also is, they've been in the top 5% 18 times, top 10% 22 times, top 25% 30 times, top 50% 47 times, bottom 50% 18 times, off the front 47. Off the back, 47. And then, anyway, so I don't know what any of that means in cycling terms, but it's clear that she has not won. She has lost more than she's won. I guess I could put it that way. Not to take away from Tiffany Thomas's achievements. Congrats to the 15 wins. It's just clearly what they're doing is trying to paint her as some sort of like, you know, cis women can't win against a trans woman. But I even like, if you go to like her year, so the past 12 months, she hasn't won it all. She's got a 0 there. So it's like, that's why in the article, they have to go to this idea that it's like, according to Thomas's career results, the athlete has come in first place in 15 races. Like, you have to say that, because otherwise, if you're like, she hasn't won it all in the past years until the Randall's Island crit number 3, where she finally won. That doesn't sound, as horrifying. In a March 11th Instagram post, Thomas wrote in response to the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles CPAC speech. For those who don't remember the Michael Knowles CPAC speech, this is the one where he called for the elimination of transgenderism, and then tried to walk that back, being like, I wasn't being genocidal, I was merely saying the ideology needs to go. She, in response to this speech, says, I am tired. I missed a lift yesterday and just sat on the floor next to the barbell for a couple of minutes. My strength coach, Julia, asked me what I was thinking about during the lift. The truth was I was thinking about nothing and everything. I was thinking about the words eradicate transgenderism that were spoken at the CPAC convention a couple of days prior, Thomas continued. The erosion of LGBTQ plus rights over the previous year, whether the places that we are planning on racing this summer are going to be safe for me to travel, if my existence on my team will come at the cost of lost sponsors and support to my teammates. And as you could tell, like, it's kind of like a sad irony that her statement here is being written about in the Post Millennial as they demean her and try to take away her accomplishment in winning this race the other day. There are a lot of unknowns. I am fortunate that I have the support of my team director, teammates, coaches, family, and friends. I will be okay, but I'm scared. I think that most transgender people are scared right now. Most of us are just trying to make it through the day. Bikes and barbells continue to bring me joy, so I will continue to pedal, lift heavy-ass weights, and I will show up for my community because that is how we will make the world a better place eventually. Tiffany Thomas sounds like a cool and wonderful person. In a 2022 interview with NYC Bike Culture, Thomas said that race promoters have an obligation to implement firm policies in regard to those who causes an aggressive response to biological male athletes. So I feel like they're selectively quoting here. So I feel like they did that just to add biologically male athletes here because, of course, they want to be bigoted pieces of shit in this article. So just wanted to highlight that while I read it. Being included in women's sports and that these individuals be relegated or they're not allowed to come back or something. And then it ends. So that's all we need to know about this article. But I wanted to comment on it because, like, I'm going to point out something that makes this whole article really silly. And the fact that Tim Pool retweeted it even more silly. What I want to add is that similar to the comments I made earlier about the fact that Tiffany's career has been more varied then the point here that she has won 15 races in her entire career, it's clear that as trans women are beginning to participate in women's sports, there really is no quote-unquote competitive advantage here for trans women, which is the accusation that is being levied against trans people who compete in sports. And of course, whenever they win, that's when the right wing wants to make an issue about it, because then it looks like there is some sort of competitive advantage, yet when you look at the grand scheme of things, that isn't the case. That being said, you gotta think, in a world in which more trans people start participating in sports, that they are going to win, and some of them could be really good at their sports and be way more competitive and winning constantly than others. At the end of the day, like, that's gonna happen because that's life. Just like there are certain cis people that are like, that dominate in their sport. And at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Now, all that being said, one thing that is really funny. So here's the Randall series race, and I know that she competed in this category, so let's pull it up. Four people. She was first place out of 4. I hate these people. not the racers. I hate the fucking the Post Millennial people who write this like, oh my god, imagine you come first place in a 4-person race. Therefore, it's the end. It's the end of women's sports. It's done. That's the way it's like always going to be now. On the right wing, is they're always going to find the one instance where a trans woman wins, even if it's them winning in a 4-person competition. The only destruction of women's sports I want is just the removal of gendered sports at all, I think, They should have classes based on, like, maybe, like, certain physical attributes in terms of fairness, like weight classes or things like that. Depending on the sport. I'm not a sport person. I also don't really care about sports. You know what? Change of plan. We're abolishing all sports. They're all gone. No more sports. Who needs them? So yeah, congratulations, Tiffany. I'm glad you won. I didn't mean to take away from your win here, but like this right-wing fearmongering is just ridiculous. Congrats, and to many more victories until we completely abolish sports.